All right, so as promised, I'm going to start making weekly videos that just give a little insight into the why behind some of the things I do inside of my fitness program. I am putting this on YouTube publicly, so if you're confused about what I'm talking about, if you stumbled onto this video, you can hit the link in the description to check out my fitness programs, but for everyone else who is already in the programs, this is specifically for you, and you will have the context as I speak on some of the things that you've already seen inside of the programming. So today I'm going to try my best to quickly, I can be long-winded, but I'll try my best to quickly break down programming, give you some brief insight. Of course, you can always message me inside of the app if you have any follow-up questions or clarification you need. I do have a little note card in my hand, so if I look down, it's because I gave myself some very, very limited notes just to keep myself on track. But basically, the best way to do this is to just give two brief examples with regard to a workout and why you might put a certain prep, why you might design prep work a certain way for that workout. So let's just jump right in. I was going to maybe try to give some insight into prep work as a whole, but I think as I break things down, you'll see. So the first example, basically when we're doing prep work, we want to gear things towards that strength superset. Traditionally, or maybe most often, we'll have a traditional strength set. So that could be, 10, let's use this example, 10 dual dumbbell bench press, rest 90 seconds, and then 15 dual dumbbell deadlifts, rest 90 seconds for 4 to 5 sets. All right, so 2 movements, push and a bend, 90 seconds in between each movement, and we're going to do that for a certain amount of sets. If you're in the GLF method, we usually do just an extra suggested set of strength work. If you're in Fitness for the Busy Professional, geared towards more efficient training, you'll have a set less of suggested strength work. So just keep that in mind. But we really want to design the prep work for that strength set. Of course, sometimes you see EMOMs, you see other interval formats, E2, E3, etc. But since we do oftentimes see traditional strength work or a traditional superset format, let's just use that in the example. And you really want to gear, again, the prep work to the strength work, that specific strength work. By the time you've worked through the strength set, right, we always have a finisher or accessory work on the back end, but you have turned the light bulb on bright enough by that point where you don't need another piece of prep work to get you set for the finisher. The finisher isn't to ruin us completely. It's to take, a different energy system, gear ourselves instead of really pushing weight or resistance or tension. Let's go lighter weight, maybe get the heart rate up a little bit more, gear things towards maybe what's called mixed aerobic work, so lighter strength pieces, body weight lunges, burpees, things like that, or just lighter bench presses, dumbbell snatches, etc., so that you can kind of be a little more cyclical. And since the approach is a little easier, you're going for more volume, you're pushing that out for more continuous time. We're prepped and ready to go for that after the strength work. So there isn't this other prep work element. So again, with that in mind, the prep work itself in this scenario is geared up towards the dumbbell bench and the dumbbell deadlift, right? So for the bench press, what I'm thinking when I'm prepping for both of these is strengthen and lengthen, basically giving yourself like an insurance policy. So when you're benching, right, if you're going for a lot of weight, you want to have some wiggle room with regard to the depth because we want, when we stretch out, we get this nice tension. So we want a big range of motion to get additional tension. But at the same time, you might feel like, okay, this is my end range, but the weight shoves you an extra half an inch. Well, you want this insurance policy baked into lengthening as we strengthen in the prep work. So a really easy example would be, let's use chest flies to stretch out that kind of insertion point for the anterior delt and the pec, right? And then we'll have a second movement, maybe alternating bench, hit things unilaterally, get one arm moving at a time, load them up in an even manner. Of course, the dumbbells will allow you to do that when we get into the main strength set, but just work them one at a time. That allows you to beef up the weight so that by the time you get into the strength work, I'm really, rearing up and, ready to go. And I don't have to waste an extra set or two asking myself, like, is 30 is a good place to start? No, you'll know because you've actually mimicked the main work with something really similar. It's just that you were maybe alternating instead of going both dumbbells at the same time. So I always segment it. So chest flies would be the first pressing exercise, and then you might do alternating dumbbell bench to bring up the weight. Staggering that with something like, stretching, strengthening and lengthening the hamstrings and glutes, maybe standing, and then if you're in the program, you're familiar with these movements, standing half split reaches, right? Strengthen and lengthen, that takes care of that. And then you might do RDLs, right? Something where you can show some control, get the primary movers loaded up. It's basically the same pattern. It's a little different. I always like to just, create some variety between prep work and main, strength set, but they're basically the same movement. So if you think about it, you would have chest flies, you'd have half split reaches, standing half split reaches, you'd have alternating dumbbell bench press, and then you would have dumbbell Romanian deadlifts, RDLs. I always suggest 2 to 3 sets. 3 really allows you to kind of, if you really feel good with your strength, you can get that extra set to get closer to your working weights inside of the strength work. So maybe in your first set of alternating presses, let's go with 35, and you bump up to 45, and you bump up to 55, so that by the time you get to the dual dumbbell bench press in the main strength set, you can jump right into 60, 65, 70 pounds, depending on where you sit and depending on the rep range. So in the example I gave, it would be 10 reps. So if you're gearing up, you feel really good with your strength where you say, okay, I know I can do my first set at 70. Well, excellent. You've just gotten your prep work to kind of get blood flow going, get the muscles warmed up, and now you can jump right in. And the same concept applies to the dual dumbbell deadlifts. I've done the half split reaches. I've done the RDLs. I brought the weight up a little bit on the RDLs, and now jumping into the deadlifts, there might require a little less control because I'm just tapping the floor, but I feel comfortable with the weight I'm using. I'm also knowledgeable of where I sit. Maybe you're sore from the weekend. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep over the weekend. Maybe you've got a newborn. Maybe this was the weekend, that you spent with friends and you ate wings or you drank champagne or whatever, right? So it actually gives you a time to also just feel out where you sit on the day. I hope that makes some sense. Again, you can ask questions if you need to clarify anything. The other example, right, traditionally we'll do push mixed with a bending movement, bench and dumbbell deadlift, are a great expression of this. And then we'll oftentimes pair pulling and squatting. Again, both of those scenarios are very complementary. It allows us to get a ton of efficient work done without gassing one pattern. So, bench press and push-ups would be non-complementary. They both require pushing, so you get really fatigued from both of them, as opposed to benching. Basically, the deadlifts allow you to kind of recover in your upper body while still getting a ton of strength work done. So in the other scenario, we would do pull and squat. So let's just take strict pull-ups. I'll strip away the rep range because that'll change from time to time, and the prep work will support the rep range. So if it's 15 to 20 reps on something, the prep work will support that. If it's 4 to 8 reps, you're going for tougher resistance with less volume. The prep work will support that endeavor. So let's say strict pull-ups at a tempo or something, tough reps, and then dual dumbbell squats. Same thing. Can we strengthen and lengthen each pattern first, or really, maybe focus more on the lengthening aspect under some tension? So let's say Cossack squats. You're getting into this deep squat. You're getting great ankle flexion, ankle dorsiflexion, knee flexion, and hip flexion. You're also stretching out the groin and adductors, which can be a limiting factor for a lot of us inside of the squat. So you're really prepping the pattern. You're not putting too much weight on it. You're stretching things out. You're getting yourself into a deep position, and you're unilaterally loading one leg at a time, right? I like that inside of prep work. It doesn't always have to be the case, but oftentimes you'll see, at least one of the movements unilaterally loaded, so that by the time you get to a bilateral movement, so if we're doing, a standard squat, both legs are fired up equally. Most of us have, imbalances. Even if we played a sport that, required great loading from right to left, when you stand in line, you lean to one side, you probably have some imbalances just because, we all have a primary or a dominant side. So strict pull-ups, you'll always or oftentimes see something like scat pull-ups, really allowing yourself to hang, get this stretch through the lats, through the posterior delts, moving around your scaps and getting all the muscles around your scaps fired up, your rhomboids, your lower traps, again, your lats, getting those things moving while they're really well stretched, because by the time you get to your pull-ups, you want to come from this really stretched out hang and get yourself over the bar. The more you're stretched out, the more tension you're getting, the more efficient the strength work. So, Cossack squats, scat pull-ups, great way to start things out. And then you might do something curtsy squats, right? It's not the true squat pattern, but the Cossack is taking care of a lot of those patterns. So again, you get to unilaterally load things up. You might go with 1 1/4 goblet squats. There's a lot of ways to do this, just like in the push bend scenario. There are a lot of ways to play with this. It's just giving you some examples so you can understand, why do we see chest flies so often in the press? Well, because it's a really awesome way to get stretched out, load up these muscles in a greater range of motion, and ultimately get you prepped for your pressing work. So whether it's deficit push-ups or dips or something like that, you have this base of support with a nice stretched position without overloading it. The chest fly, you get to control the weight. I'll start with 10 pounds, I'll go up to 15 pounds, I'll go up to 20 pounds, and now I'm pretty prepped with regards to stretched position under some tension. So the next things, like I said, it might be a 1 1/4 squat, it might be a kickstand squat, something like that mimics your squat pattern. It's not identical, but it puts you in a good place. And then a lot of times, especially with tough pulling work, I'll throw in pull-up singles, right? For me, if you're doing higher reps inside of your strength work, I just like to get into a few individual reps. I can shake it out in between each rep, get right back up there, but there's very little that's going to mimic a pull-up perfectly. For me, it's just a matter of like shaking off the cobwebs from the day before and really just getting yourself in the physical realm of, I'm gonna do this tough pull. You're doing them one at a time, you're gearing yourself up. It's still prep work because you're not banging out high volume sets, just doing one at a time, 3 to 5 reps, pull-up singles or jumping pull-ups for those of you still working on them. And then you can get into higher sets, or now maybe you touch the chest to bar. Now you're maybe doing, the pull-ups where you pull your chin over the bar, you get into a tuck position, lower yourself. I keep it pretty specific with my pull-up variations. You can always get better with regard to volume and time under tension. So that's why you'll see a lot of the similar pull-up patterns when it comes to strength work. But that's really it. I know I've already talked way too much, but I want to give a lot of insight. So strengthening, lengthening, putting your muscles under tension while also putting them in a larger range of motion is such an awesome way to get loaded up and get ready for your strength work. And then again, once you get in your strength work, you're already revved up, so you don't need to do additional prep work for the finisher. It's just up to you to be really smart about your approach to the finisher so that you're not fried, right? Pull things back a little bit, get in that additional work that allows you to get up to, a really great dose by the time you're done without being ruined. So that's up to you to make sure you take the right approach to the finishers. But again, the prep work is really focused on the initial strength work, strengthening, lengthening, building up weight, and that's really the deal. It should be a part of your workout, right? You should have a good heart rate, should be up a little bit. Muscles should be juiced up a little bit after your prep work, so that you actually can jump right in. You're in this great place, and every set of your strength work is valuable, allowing your workout to be very, very efficient and optimal, right? We want to make sure we're squeezing everything out of every piece of strength work. We don't want to waste those sets for warming up more and more. Okay, I'll leave it there. Hope it was helpful. I'll see you guys out there. Peace.